Welcome back. This is the safety module, and it is by far the most important thing that we can talk about. I want you to keep all of your fingers. When I see your piece of art, I don't want you to go, hey, look at this piece of art I have. No, 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 no. We want all fingers intact. We want all legs and knees and thighs intact. So we have to pay really close attention to this stuff, make sure we know what we're doing. The first thing we want to take a look at is the chain brake. Every chainsaw is equipped with this piece here that when activated causes the chain to stop. It's very quick. It's important that it's in place because it also keeps your hand from this path here, and when it's activated it shuts the chain, keeps it from spinning. So you've got to make sure this works. If you haven't used your saw in a while, go ahead and fire it up and test it. Cut it off with this and make sure that it does its trick. Then the next thing I want to show you, what you're going to say, that's a piece of safety equipment. Okay, ready? You ready to say it? Not the lid. Safety equipment. What? That's a wrench or a scrunch, some people call it, because screwdriver, wrench, scrunch. However, the reason I call it a safety piece of equipment is because your chain has to be on here just right. And trust me, I know, bad idea. I was using an electric chainsaw and it kept getting loose and loose and loose and loose and loose. And I wasn't used to using it at first. And it literally threw the chain off and wrapped it around the cog inside, tore up some stuff. Thank you, Jesus. It did not tear me up. So this is a safety tool. Very important that you use this. You know, you loosen these two and you adjust this until your chain is the right level of looseness. Tighten this up. Very important to keep your chain on your saw. When we get to cutting, I'll show you my preference on how much slack there is in the chain. So, kind of funny, but not really. This is a piece of safety equipment, the scrunch. Okay, next, most important thing here that I keep in my bucket is a pair of chaps. These, you wear them around your waist, and then down here, they snap around your knee, snap around your ankle. These shred like, I don't know, I was gonna say shredded wheat, but it's more like shredded pillow or something. If the saw hits it, it just, I mean, it gums up the saw, but it stops the blade so fast that it keeps it from digging into your flesh. So these are really, really important. And in my estimation, as far as places that I think I could get hurt with the chain itself, these are most important, because when I'm squatting and ducking and working around a chainsaw carving, I really want my legs covered up, big time. And when you buy a pair of these, remember, if you go for the cheapest ones, you just put the cheapest thing you can find between your flesh and the mad dog on the end of this thing. So just keep that in mind. All right, next, this is a triple whammy here. It is a hard hat to protect your head from falling objects. It is a face shield to protect your eyes from all the debris being thrown up into them. And it is to protect your ears from the loud noises. I use here the No Cry brand, and these, let's see, what Forester was the brand I went with on the chaps. Gloves, let's talk about gloves for a second. The gloves are really important in my estimation for things like when you're adjusting the tension on your chain, when you're changing a chain, you don't want to be handling that sharp chain with your bare hands. So a pair of gloves is very good. Also, if you're sweating, slip resistant is good here to wear them when you're using the chainsaw. Now, if my hands are dry, I'm actually safer, in my opinion, if I don't have them on, because I can feel everything. My hands are not in harm's way. They're back here away from flying debris. They're back here away from the teeth. And I've got that guard in front of me, and these dampen my ability to feel what's going on. Certainly if you're slippery, you need to wear them, and if you're going to handle something hot or something sharp, you need to wear gloves. You can wear separate earmuffs, and I keep these handy. If I'm working on the bench, I'm changing out a bar or a chain, and I'm going to fire it up, but I'm not cutting anything. I don't need that big thing on my head, but I do need something to protect my ears. I keep two kinds of respirators. A very simple one, if I'm working, I try to always work outside, but if the wind's not blowing, I could very well be breathing more dust than I want. And then if I'm working on red oak or cedar, I have discovered that I need a serious respirator because it will make me hack and cough until I throw up if I get a big lungful of cedar dust or red oak dust. So I use Air Gear Pro and swap out the N95s that are in here as often as I need to keep them clean and keep me safe. Okay, next thing to talk about is steel-toed boots. If you're going to be moving a lot of things that are heavy, trying to get logs into place, you're going to want to protect your toes. And then let's talk about some conditions. It would be a bad idea for me to be out there carving right now, even though it has stopped raining, because the leaves have fallen and my entire carving yard is slippery with wet leaves. So it would be a dangerous situation for me to be out there focused on my carving and trying to stand on slippery ground. It's not a good idea. I have, on one rare occasion, finished a project while it began to rain. I was on a deadline I had to get done. And in that case, what I did was I took mental note and made myself ratchet my speed down about 60% and say, okay, this is not me speeding up to hurry and get this thing done because it started raining. This is me slowing it way down so that I am hyper aware of what's going on around me, so that I'm not accidentally tripping on something, slipping over something. Don't let anything ever make you go fast. If a spider starts crawling up your leg, take your time, cut your engine off. When it stops spinning, reach down there and knock that thing away. Okay? No freaking out. Let the bugs crawl if that happens. No big deal. They're not there to munch on you anyway. And if you don't freak out and swipe them away carefully, cautiously, they're not going to bite you. But that's something that can happen. You can think, you're carving away and somebody hollers for you from the house. Don't be doing any of this stuff. Okay, because now where'd your saw go? Whoa. Well, you weren't looking at it and paying attention to it. So don't take it with you. Don't, like if you're driving and you're looking over here, the tendency sometimes is to go like this when you're driving. Well, it's the same problem with the chainsaw, so be very, very careful with that. And then as you're carving, make sure that your debris that falls, your chips, your big chunks, make sure that you stop periodically and clean them all up, get them out of the way so that you're not tripping and stepping on stuff. And then, of course, before you get started, You want to make sure that you've got a wide berth all the way around you, free from animals that might be hurt or startle you or get under your feet, free from children who might startle you, who might get too close and get hurt. Everybody has to be aware that there is a boundary here. If Chainsaw Man is doing his thing, odds are pretty good he can't hear me. But if you're really good at listening, and this is something that I want to make sure I emphasize too, eyes, ears, awareness has to be like uber on fire, so that not only is your creativeness coming out through this powerful tool, and you're really paying attention to what you're doing to make your cuts right, not damage your art, but you're also aware of odd sounds, odd movement, anything that it doesn't belong. And so when I first got started, I cut my saw off a lot for nothing. I would hear my wife calling from the house, and I would cut my saw off and turn around. Nobody there. I don't know what I was hearing. And here I go again, and I see what? Shut my saw off, and nobody there. So you'll probably have some phantom noises as you're getting used to it, because you're in this muffled world. It sounds like you're in a barrel, in case that didn't make any sense. And you've just got to get used to how that feels and how it sounds. A couple of quick stories. I thought the whole safety thing was just garbage. It was a waste of time. It was horrific waste of time in industry and when I worked in factories and mail rooms and all that kind of stuff. I just thought, this is just dumb. I'm vigilant, I'm careful, I'm not going to hurt myself. I want to take all my parts home. I'm not going to fall. I'm paying attention to what's going on. I thought we wasted tons and tons of money on all this extra safety stuff. Well, a couple of things changed my mind. One of them was the fact that my wife felt very differently about that. And we had some long conversations about my value to her, and that she wanted me to be careful. And so I'm processing all of this and trying not to just dismiss it as, that's just weenie speak. And I don't get it. I love her and I understand, but I don't get it. But I was taking it very seriously, and I began to think about some people in my life. Man's man, super intelligent, ultra skilled was my Uncle Kurth. That man could cut boards and beams and load them in order in the back of a truck so that it could drive up a mountain where there was no electricity, and they could assemble that thing in order and it would all be right. I mean, he was just, the talent there was off the chart, but he didn't have all his fingers. I'm like, okay, so intelligent, highly skilled, deeply experienced, didn't have all of his fingers. I should probably take that very seriously. And then my friend Mickey, highly intelligent, powerfully built man's man, expert cabinet maker, and he's missing the end of a finger. Like, okay, let me rethink myself here. So no matter how good you think you are at something, how skilled you are, how careful you are, there's a confluence of events that can always happen. You combine fatigue with being overheated, being hungry, dehydrated. I mean, there's a whole bunch of things that could happen to you all at one time. And then, a wasp flies up and decides to think whether or not your knee has pollen in it. and who knows what you're going to do. So take all of this safety stuff very, very carefully. And I do want to emphasize too, this is not a fully exhaustive safety course. I haven't hit everything that there is to hit. I don't know everything there is to know. Each of us, when we take a sharp object or a powerful piece of equipment or something heavy into our hands and begin to work with it, are fully responsible for our environment, for what we do with it, for how things turn out, for what happens to other people. There is no room in this for us to ever say, not my fault. You're the one with the spinning steel. Okay? So make sure that you understand. You buy a new saw, make sure you go to the manufacturer's websites and watch their safety stuff. Make sure you read the safety stuff. Just have a good idea of what that saw can do. And when we get started, we'll talk about kickback and which part of the nose of the saw to actually touch to the wood and the no touchy zones. So we'll get into some more of that. But I wanted to throw out this disclaimer that you haven't been fully trained because you've watched this. I'm just trying to get you started and get you mentally in the right space and help you with enough stuff that you go, oh, okay, now I have 12 questions. I need to go get those answered. Perfect. Do that. Learn, 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 learn. The more you know, the safer you're going to be.